Just questions, like the cues, like between folks. I know I'm going after Ralph, so like Ralph will talk and then I'll just expect to like just he'll finish and then I'll unmute and then begin speaking. Is that how this is working?
I'll do a quick in between. This is Jacob.
Ken, that was brilliant last night.
Okay,
thank you.
Wonderful. I was waiting for the dance, but Sean was making sure that if I like goaded you at it, it would come back to haunt me. So
My kids were very embarrassed. That did not sit well with them. So
okay,
well,
we're live. So let's go, Caitlin.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight on this virtual open house of our brand new ADA accessible office. I am so excited to have so many of you join us tonight on this virtual event. We are, as of tomorrow, 1 month away from Election Day. And every year we say this is the most important election of your lifetime, but I can't think of a time it is more true than right now. So please remember, we've got a bunch of great candidates on tonight to talk to you guys. Please remember to go out and vote early if you can. And contact your candidates and see how they need help. We need to get our candidates elected. We need to take back the Minnesota Senate. We need to take the US Senate. We need to hold the House, both the Minnesota House and the US House. And we need to win the White House. Please, you guys, make sure you go out and vote. And the other thing is this is an amazing new office we have that you guys will be seeing later, but we need money to keep this office going. So go to our Act Blue account and donate if you're able to help us keep this office open. We're going to start this evening by handing it over to Governor Tim Walz. Many of you know him as a former member of Congress. He's joining us live tonight. So thank you so much, Governor.
Well, Caitlin, thank you. And to each and every one of you, thank you for joining and congratulations on the move. What I can tell you is Winona County was one of the first units, and Ken Martin will tell you this, to create a physical space. And that physical space created community. And I can tell you a core of the volunteers in my first congressional run back in 2006 came from the leadership out of Winona. And so I'm really grateful. The physical space is not as important as the community we create, but your new space, I can't wait to see it. But the one thing I would say is the party that we're all part of, the sense of the beautiful diversity and the tapestry of what Minnesota looks like, we'll damn sure fly any flag we want to over the top of our office. We will fly for our LGBTQ brothers and sisters. We will fly for Black Lives Matter. We will make sure that we want to stand up for will be well known. So I appreciate some of the things that you're doing. I also want to give a big shout out. Ken Martin, again, last night was awesome. You're out there working it. It was a telethon, but just like Caitlin said, we know what's at stake here, and a lot of thank yous to go around. You're going to hear from our incredible Senator Tina Smith. Tina is a humble servant leader who gets the work done, respected by all. It's our job now to get her and send her back. Again, I don't need to tell you what the alternative is. That's pretty obvious. And I usually don't say anything. I have nothing good to say, but I was never sued in my life until I got this job. And now I'm 19-0 of being sued and winning. So we just beat Jason Lewis this week. Who the heck sues somebody over wearing a damn mask? I am just, for the life of me, why Tina Smith is out there fighting for health insurance, fighting for a good climate, fighting for jobs, and doing it with dignity. This guy's suing over wearing a mask. So let's get her there. Tammy Duckworth's going to talk to you. I'm not even going to say anything there. There's nobody more amazing that you'll ever meet. And I had the pleasure of serving with her in Congress. Ken and the work the party's doing. The most important person in Minnesota over the next 30 days, Steve Simon, our Secretary of State, to protect our right to vote, to get the ballots in. I can tell you what, of all the things that would keep me up, the one that doesn't is because Steve Simon is the Secretary of State. It will be done right. Votes will be counted, and each of you will get your election certificates, and you will go to the House and go to the Senate, just like we need it to happen. So appreciate that. Big thanks to Gene Pulowski. I don't see him in the Hollywood squares here, but I'm sure he's somewhere. We're glad he's there. He's carried the torch for us in Winona County for a long time. Let's make the move here to help him out. I see Elise, Jordan, Ralph, Sarah. We got great candidates. Southeast Minnesota is progressive with smart candidates, passionate, ready to bring folks together. And I, for the life of me, these folks need to be there. There's especially, I just have to say, holding that house is the difference between total chaos like you see in Wisconsin and us having the ability to fight COVID. And while the Minnesota Senate fights me as we're trying to fight COVID, send Ralph, get him over there, send Sarah, make a difference. So we'll get this done. And again, I'm just going to say it. Dan Feehan needs to be in Congress because he's a decent man to get this done. And the first district deserves real representation. We don't need chaos. We don't need everything that's going on there. And we certainly need someone who is going to be reflective of our values. So lots of things to get done. You're going to hear from a lot of great people. I'm calling with just great gratitude. Nevada's going to speak to you, and we have been friends for quite some time. Lieutenant Governor sends her best to all of you also. She's out doing other events. But we're in this. We're already voting. I have said this, and I believed it all the time. The first district's the linchpin to many things. If Donald Trump were happen to win Minnesota, it would be very difficult for us to win the presidency. So it hinges on us to get it done. We need to make sure that Tina Smith goes back so we have a chance to win the Senate. We need to hold those House seats and pick up a couple others to ensure that Speaker Pelosi stays in. And all of the turnout starts with these House seats. They start with the Senate seats. They start with this congressional seat. So we need turnout. We need turnout. And you're doing the work, because I saw this week, the pundits just moved Minnesota's from a lean Republican to a toss-up in Dan's race. And I can tell you, that's the work that Dan and his team's doing, and that's the work each and every one of you are doing. So thank you. Keep it up. Let's bring this thing home. And if the last 24 hours haven't shown you chaos enough, we certainly wish the best for people in their health. But a lot of what's happened in COVID-19 would have been avoidable had we had the right leadership. I need state partners, and I need a federal partner who wants to get this done. And then we need to think about what the future looks like for our kids. So I am incredibly grateful. Enjoy the rest of your night. And I can't wait to physically get down and see this new office. So thank you all.
All right. Next up, person that has the dubious and wonderful record of being the longest termed continual run of the state party chair of Minnesota's Democratic Farmer Labor Party, as well as being a vice chair for the last so many years under the leadership of Tom Perez, and the leadership of himself, because when you are Ken Martin, you definitely, if you believe in something, you're going to go toe-to-toe with the national chairman. So without any further ado, here is our Minnesota Democratic Farmer Labor Party chairman, Mr. Ken Martin.
Thank you so much, Jacob. And first, I want to thank Jacob for letting us in our DFL Pop-Up Express actually invade Winona, and in particular, take over his lawn as we set up. As I mentioned to him, it was just an amazing experience as we drove into Winona and we saw a line that was 2 blocks long. People were really excited to see us there, and of course, more excited to get their Biden-Harris sign. It shows you the level of enthusiasm and excitement that's down on the ground there in Winona. We were really, really excited after that visit. So thank you, Jacob. And I want to thank, of course, Caitlin and all the officers and leaders of the Winona County DFL. As all of you know, the state DFL party has been a partner with the Winona County DFL for many years in keeping that office open. And I just want to make a pledge to you tonight that you can count on for next year. You can count on another $2,000 from the DFL party. Put that towards your efforts. We'll make sure we get that out to you so you can keep those doors open, because as Governor Walz said, it's really important to have a gathering place for DFLers. It's really important to make sure that we can get that literature literature out, get those lawn signs out, keep people involved, keep them on the phones. And of course, when we're back to campaigning door to door, on the doors. And so that office is so critical to our efforts in the southeastern corner of the state. I want to just thank Ralph and Ralph Kaler and Elise Dieslin, as well as Jean Pawlowski, Sarah Kruger, and Jordan Fontanello for running, for putting their names on the ballot, and for running such great campaigns. We are really, really super excited about all of these candidates and their chances to win this fall, and they're working exceedingly hard. We have 32 days left. 32 days left until this election. And of course, this is the craziest election of our lifetimes, in addition to being the most important. I just want to mention something about Dan Feehan real quick, because all of you know what a terrific representative he would be. We know that. We know that because we know who Dan is. He's a servant leader. He is someone who's committed his whole adult life to public service in the finest sense of what public servants mean and do, which is to give back to their communities, give back to their country. You know, when you consider who his opponent is and you consider the traits that Dan brings to this race, serving 2 tours, one in Iraq and one in Afghanistan, coming back home after serving overseas, and then going and being a middle school teacher. And then again, when our country called and President Obama called him back into service to serve as the Assistant Secretary of Defense in the Pentagon under President Obama, he answered that call once again. And I don't think there could be a starker contrast between 2 candidates running for office than Dan Feehan and Jim Hagedorn. Again, one who's a servant leader, who's going to represent the people of the 1st District so well, and the other who, much like Donald Trump, only cares about himself and doing what's best for him. And we've seen that with all sorts of ethical challenges that Jim Hagedorn's had in recent months. So, you know, let me just say a few other things. You know, all of us at the Minnesota DFL party, of course, were shocked to hear the news this morning about the president and First Lady. We wish them a swift and full recovery from COVID-19. And of course, we're all praying for their health and the well-being of those who they came into contact with just in the past few days. But what this troubling news underscores is the ongoing threat posed to all of us by the coronavirus pandemic. We must remain vigilant. We must follow the CDC guidelines, and we must abide by Minnesota's mask order to limit the spread of this virus and to protect our health and that of our friends, families, and communities. However, just before I got on this Zoom, I learned that Pete Stauber, Tom Emmer, and Jim Hagedorn all got on a commercial air flight today in Minneapolis to fly to DC after having been exposed to Donald Trump on Wednesday in Duluth. This is the height of irresponsibility. I don't know how we can trust elected officials to do the right thing for us in Washington, D.C., when they won't take the responsibility to make the sacrifices they need and quarantine themselves at a time when we need them to do that. Instead, risking exposing other people on a commercial air flight today, all to get to D.C. Again, think about Jim Hagedorn and what I said a moment ago. Jim Hagedorn's only out for himself. So, you know, look, I'm just going to end with this. We know how important this election is. We have 32 days left. Trump's presidency has been a complete disaster for Minnesota families, from his attacks on Social Security, his harmful trade policies, and his attempts to roll back the ACA and keep protections for our air and water. And people like my father-in-law, who is a farmer, 800 acres of corn and beans and beef cattle just south of Mankato, have struggled under this president. And now we found out this week that Donald Trump hasn't paid any federal taxes since 2000, meaning that middle-class families like mine are paying way more in federal income taxes than this billionaire. So while he is avoiding paying taxes, he is also trying to stick it to working families. You know, I liked this line from Joe Biden's speech, and I just want to read it because he said this a couple of days ago. He said, Biden sees things from Scranton and Trump sees things from Park Avenue. And when you see things from Park Avenue, you hand out $1.5 million in tax giveaways, primarily for large corporations and the wealthy. When you see things from Park Avenue, you think that $15 an hour is too much for essential workers. You eliminate overtime pay for millions of workers. You try to take away health care from 20 million Americans in the middle of a pandemic. and you try to take away protections for pre-existing conditions from 130 million Americans. And lastly, when you see things from Park Avenue, you propose a plan that will bankrupt Social Security by 2023. So look, we have a big fight in front of us. The differences between Donald Trump and Joe Biden couldn't be any more stark as well. We have 32 days left until this critical election. And as Paul Wellstone used to say, if we don't fight hard enough for the things we stand for, at some point we have to recognize that we don't really stand for them at all. So DFLers and Winona County DFLers, my question to you is, are you ready to fight? Are you ready to stand up and fight for the things that we value? Because they're all on the ballot this election. 32 days left to stand up and fight. 32 days to change history and build the future we all deserve. 32 days to restore sanity and decency to the White House. Thank you so much for all you're doing, all you have done, and all you will do these next 32 days to help us win. I look forward to continuing our work together, and congratulations on your virtual office opening, and I look forward to seeing the office soon. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Ken, for your inspiring words. You're always good to see you. Now, we're going to hear from our longtime DFL representative out of what is now known as 28A. Let's welcome Representative Gene Pulowski, who's on the phone.
Thank you. I want to particularly thank Caitlin for the tremendous job she's done in the transformation of the old headquarters, what was Kitty Corner from EB's Bar, to the new headquarters. I'm at my grandchildren today in Eden Prairie with Deb, and we're helping them set up Halloween decorations. That's why I'm doing this by just live audio. But in that transfer, I want to thank a couple of individuals. The Saturday that we made the transfer of materials from the old headquarters to the new, Dick Dahl and Bob Youngerman were leading a team into the dungeon of a basement of that old headquarters, and I was down there hauling out a couple boxes of my signs. The job that that crew did in taking all of that material out of the old DFL headquarters and moving it into the new was just phenomenal. I couldn't stay more than about a half hour, but it was one of the worst jobs I've ever seen as far as just dirt and getting things done, and they did it. So Dick and Bob and the whole crew deserve a lot of credit. Also, this new headquarters, I've been down there 3 times, and each time I had to stand in line to get signs, social distancing and masks on, because of the demand for signs in Winona. That speaks volumes about the amount of work that's being done. I finally did on Monday get a couple of signs that are going up in windows because they're too dangerous to put them out in the yard. They get stolen. I also want to compliment here Dan Feehan. I was part of a fundraiser for him a week ago, and I remember a couple of things. First of all, he used the first Minnesota historically correctly in his speech to all of us at that fundraiser. He knew that the first Minnesota had saved the Union at Gettysburg, and his last line of that comparison was, "It's time for Minnesota to save the Union again in this election." Think of it that we would have a congressman that would actually be able to historically correctly use facts. That alone, he deserves to be elected. I also want to thank the great job, for instance, that Sarah Kruger's doing in her campaign. I understand that 13 billboards are going up this week. That speaks again for all of the incredible hard work that her campaign and others are doing. And finally, I want to remind everyone that 1 year ago, exactly this week, the entire Minnesota House of Representatives was in Winona for the first mini session of the House of Representatives in 22 years, and the second mini session in Winona in exactly 30 years. We had hearings in Rochester, Austin, Rushford, Winona, Caledonia, Preston. That would not have happened without the DFL being in control of the Minnesota House. So when this pandemic is over, we have to remember what we can do as members of the Democratic Party and what the reach out we can make in making sure that we go to the people and we listen to the people, but we do it by going directly to them. And when the pandemic's over, I'm going to be pushing again to restore those mini sessions and travel around the state. So today, thank you all for your work and the great job that you've done. I apologize for just doing this by audio, but when you're up with the grandkids, you have to work with what you get. So thank you all.
Well, thank you, Representative Pawlowski. Always good to hear from you. And now we're going to welcome our 28B candidate who we have here, who's running against Mr. Greg Davids. Let's welcome Jordan Fontanello.
Good evening, everybody. I'm really glad to be able to come and talk with you this evening. It's like Representative Pawlowski said, it's too bad that we couldn't all be there. I baked some cookies last night that I would have been glad to take along and have everybody get all happy with cookies and chocolate chips, but unfortunately that's just not a reality right now. Like Jacob said, my name is Jordan Fontanello. I'm campaigning to be the next representative for District 28B. That's Houston and Fillmore counties. You know, even though the geographic size of the two districts are very different, and 28A contains Winona, which is, you know, significantly larger than anything in Fillmore and Houston County, they're all still comprised of people, right? And that is the thread. The connection that all districts have to one another is people. The citizens are what your new building, the DFL, this group of people here today is all about. It's the human beings that reside within each of those areas on a map that we choose to concern ourselves with. You know, I really appreciate being able to come and speak with you all here today and to remotely enjoy the new facility at the Winona DFL headquarters, which we're going to see in a little bit here. You know, it's always nice to have something new and shiny to use, right? Especially when its purpose is meant to help build our communities into a more successful vision of what we can become. You know, it's not nearly as grand an edifice as the White House, but it serves the same purpose, just on a smaller scale. You know, I believe that it is the people's house, you know, specifically for the citizens of that district, but also for all people who want to learn how to get involved in making the places they live better through cooperation and communication, you know, perseverance and hard work, and a positive outlook on the world that's seen through, you know, a moral and ethical lens that opens our eyes to the world by shutting out no one and accepting everyone. As a future elected official, that's really my goal, is making the places we live better by talking with people, finding out what they need, what the government can do to facilitate your success, learning how I can help them have a better tomorrow than they did yesterday. You know, I propose to help the citizens of my district and in that manner, all Minnesotans through the practice of true representation and by the uniform application of social justice in order to repair and improve our towns and cities, both rural and urban. You know, there are so many issues that I would like to provide input on that I want to help to create solutions for, you know, but unfortunately I don't have the time to go over them all with you today. I would say overall, I would focus my efforts on three main categories, and that's going to be fairness, justice, and opportunity. Installing basic fairness for everyone by passing the Equal Rights Amendment, making the tax code fairer by everyone, for having it designed for everybody instead of just, you know, wealthy individuals who write tax loopholes in for themselves, enforcing all the laws that provide for the equal treatment of people, and in that manner also working hard to implement solutions for the systemic injustices that are caused by racism and other baseless fears of people who are different than us. Obtaining input from legal scholars and judges and citizens to provide fair, honest, and true justice for everyone that has any interaction with the law and judicial system. Using any and all available methods, beginning with education and healthcare, absolutely primary and paramount, to provide every single person the opportunity they need to succeed to the best of their abilities. Providing individuals and families the opportunity to have a decent place to live so they can move forward in their pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness. These are just a little view of the wide-ranging goals that I want to pursue as the next representative for District 28B. But there's no reason that they can't all become reality if we work at it together. When I become the representative for Fillmore and Houston counties, I will work not only with my constituents, but with the elected leaders of other districts so that together we can pool our knowledge and information to provide every Minnesotan with the best possible policies, procedures, protections, and laws to help improve their day-to-day living. So I thank you very much for your time, allowing me to come and speak with you here today and meet all the other candidates. And good luck to us all in this upcoming election.
There we go. Trying to unmute myself. Thank you so much, Jordan, and best of luck on your campaign. Keep up the good work. Now we're going to actually welcome our last person from District 28. Let's welcome our own candidate for Senate, Ms. Sarah Kruger.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for being here tonight. I just want to start off by thanking Caitlin for all of the hard work that she's done and making sure that we have an accessible facility for everyone to be able to come and enjoy what the DFL has to offer, get to know more about the DFL, people who participated for years and years, as well as a lot of newcomers, and having a space that's relatively close to campus as well, I think is very helpful, and being in a downtown area that our local businesses can then also come in and find out what the DFL is all about. I also want to just touch upon the point that it was a very brave move to stand up against bigotry at a time when we are seeing it so prevalent and people are very comfortable making racist remarks, making homophobic remarks, making sexist remarks, and saying, nope, that is not okay. Saying that Black Lives Matter is not a radical statement. If whether you are a person of color or not, whether you are Christian or not, whether you are Muslim or not, none of those things should matter in saying a statement that another person, another human being's life matters. And so thank you for taking a strong stance on that, as well as in regards to the LGBTQ issue that was raised with the gay pride flag. So I just want to say I am very proud to be part of a party that stands up against bullies. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Sarah, and best of luck to you in your campaign. I know that you weren't driving. I could tell you were pulled over, just for the record.
Yep, I am parked. If anyone wants to see, I'm on the side of the highway. My Uncle Bill's actually with me. He's laughing because yes, we've been parked for a little while. So
Nice. Well, if you need to drive somewhere, keep on keeping on. Maybe your friend can hold your phone in the back and you can still listen. But thanks for joining us. Now we're going to go to the other part of our county and hear from our candidates from the 21 side, starting with our candidate running for House against the Steve Drazkowski, the Steve Drazkowski. And here is Elise Dieslin, who's running against Steve in District 21B.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank you for the invitation to speak tonight. I'm extremely excited to see the opening of this new space. I can't wait to see it in person. I unfortunately have not. I hope this new office space gives Winona County a renewed focus on what needs to get done in the next 32 days. This is something exciting, and I think this can really energize people. The energy and support from all of you is what will get this great DFLers elected up and down the ticket, because it's extremely important this year. I hope this is the year we can finally flip my seat of 21B. If I get elected, we can work towards fully funding education, providing healthcare support throughout the state, especially here in rural Minnesota. And I want to destigmatize mental health and provide resources for our farm families. Vote early by mail if you can, or in person. If you choose to vote in person on election day, please be safe and follow COVID safety guidelines. I think it's kind of hitting everybody how serious it is now that it's reached all the way to the president. So please remember to stay safe whenever you happen to go out. Vote safely. You can vote by mail. Please stay safe. And I just want to thank you again for the invitation to speak tonight.
Well, thank you, Elise, and we wish you the best of luck in your race. And thank you for signing up to do it again. I know you did it 4 years ago during a presidential race, and thank you for stepping up. Another person who has stepped up and is running in District 21 is our own Ralph Kaler. Let's welcome him and hear from him now.
All right, well, thank you everyone for joining tonight. It's pretty exciting for the Winona County DFL to have a new office. As I was sitting here thinking about it, kind of getting our new office is a little bit like the presidential election. We were stuck in an old office that didn't meet our needs and it didn't function very well. Now we're looking forward to a new office. It's brighter, more functional, and appeals to a broader scope of people. I think there's a real parallel there. As a farmer and a solar developer, I'm pretty excited about fall. We've started soybean harvest and having record yields. So not only are we starting with a good harvest, we're a month away from having a new president that will maybe be more inclusive for everyone and better for our agriculture economy. I think what we're offered right now is a difference in vision between two parties. The DFL's offering hope. Our opponents are offering fear. We're trying to rebuild our economy and our state with inclusion. They're just trying to cause division. We're talking about building a better government. All our opponents can do is run government down. I think we need to get out, and as people compare the messages between our two parties, we're going to win. We need to make sure we spread the word. Our focus in the next 30 days has to be reaching to new people and new voters and just getting them to compare the messages that they see. There's one thing people don't realize. Right now in the Minnesota Senate, there are no farmers from either party, and there are no renewable energy business owners in the entire legislature. We can change that with my election. We can bring a new voice. We can broaden our base. So again, congratulations on the new office. It's a great improvement. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with everyone, and thank you for all your help and support.
I'm on mute again. Thank you, Senator, or future Senator Kaler, for your words, and keep up the good work as well. I'm going to unspotlight your video. Here we go. Back to me. You may notice I'm about to be wearing my mask because you'll see in a little bit why. So now we wouldn't be an open house without hearing from someone from our presidential campaign. So Nevada, I should have asked you that question a little bit earlier than I did in the chat. I hope one of those was the correct pronunciation. And here, let's welcome Nevada, sorry, Little Wolf from the Biden-Harris campaign.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Nevada Little Wolf, and I am the political director for Biden for President here in Minnesota. I just really want to thank Caitlin and Jacob for inviting me to be on the call tonight. You know, when Caitlin called me, she talked to me about what was going on down in Winona and with the office move and, you know, the challenges that you all were facing there, and how quickly the community came together to just make the move and make it successful, and for all of the right reasons, right? For inclusivity, for accessibility, for making sure that there's a place in the community. And I'm excited to see the virtual tour of this as well. I love Ralph's analogy of the office as like wasn't working. So we've got to do what works for us, and we've got to make those changes. And That's what I'm here to talk about with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But first, I just want to say that I'm actually have lived in Winona, Minnesota when I was a child, and I have family there. My cousin is kind of a somewhat known, I think, artist, Dr. Bob, puppeteer in the community. And I just have a very special place in my heart for Winona and the surrounding area. So I'm excited to be a part of this call tonight as a former Winona resident, and excited to talk about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So with less than 32 days left until Election Day, Biden for President Minnesota is in a strong position to win Minnesota and send Joe Biden and Kamala Harris to the White House. As president, Joe Biden will restore the soul of our nation. He will rebuild the backbone of our economy, which we all know is the middle class, and unite our country. And Minnesota is ready for a real leader. Joe Biden is the right candidate with the right message to voters and the right vision for the future. He's not somebody who looks back to like 1950 and says, we gotta like be that way. He's looking to the future and really considering like, what is the full potential of our democracy? What is the full potential of our country? And thinking of everybody who's here. He cares about issues that are important to voters, like stopping the spread of COVID. He thinks about the economy and about healthcare. And really sadly, I mean, today was a really hard day, honestly, for me. Just reflecting on, how Donald Trump has failed Minnesotans. He's been here several times in the last few weeks. And we know that his mismanagement of COVID-19 has led to this economic fallout, and he has led reckless trade policies. He's had attacks on our healthcare, and he's made broken promises to Minnesota workers. All in all, President Trump really has made Minnesotans' lives worse. And today, like, I'll just be really honest and raw, is like, today was a hard day for me that I just felt really sad. And then I also felt kind of angry, right? That we need to really take all of the issues that we're dealing with right now very seriously and have a leader who can respond to those issues in a way that is responsible, that is presidential, that actually shows leadership in our country. So across the state, hearing from like Ken Martin earlier, we are coordinating with the DFL party to run a voter contact program that's focused on meeting voters where they are and having really quality conversations, right? We want to have conversations with our friends, with our families, with our neighbors. We want to understand and build relationships and make sure that we're in a place that we all can feel a part of community. And so our organizers and our volunteers have spoken to over 56,000 Minnesota voters. And that's not just like I called somebody and left a message, or I called and I didn't get an answer. That was 56,000 conversations with folks in Minnesota. Joe Biden is the leader that Minnesota needs. And we are very strongly positioned for victory here. We know that, Vice President Biden has been up on a lot of the polls, like Real Clear Politics, the New York Times. And, there hasn't been any credible poll in Minnesota that has shown President Trump above Joe Biden. However, we know that we can't ride the polar coaster. Like, we have to continue to do the work, and we're not taking any single Minnesotan for granted. We are meeting the moment with effective organizing. We're helping voters understand how to cast their ballot, and we need you, Winona County, we need you. So I would really encourage folks, like if you haven't yet found a way to engage around all of the candidates that you heard that went before me that are working on your local issues, running for Congress there. I think you're going to hear from Dan Feehan later. But if you haven't figured out a way to engage yet, I encourage you to go to dfl.org, and you'll find a number of ways to get involved on any number of campaigns, including Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And if you're looking to kind of be what I call a voter education ambassador, spread the word about iwillvote.com/Minnesota. Again, it's iwillvote.com/Minnesota. This is really the best source of information you can get in Minnesota related to where to vote, how to vote safely, all of the information that people have questions about around voting because they feel like this year is so different and they're not really sure what's the right thing to do or what's the safe thing to do, or is my vote going to be counted? Like there's a lot of questions and confusion. And so we really need strong voter education ambassadors out in the community to help folks understand that like it is so, so, so important for every single person to have a plan to vote and to vote for Joe Biden, vote for Kamala Harris, and vote for your local candidates, your local DFL candidates. So after today, there are 31 days until November 3rd, and Biden for President Minnesota is going to use every single one of them to persuade and mobilize Minnesotans to cast their ballot for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. So thank you again, Miigwech, and thank you for having me tonight.
Well, thank you, Nevada, for your words and info from the campaign. I'm trying to, there we go. All right. So you may have noticed that I am on a different piece of technology, this part, and also tripping over cords. That's not the office staff's fault, that's my own fault. And if you could mute the YouTube, our friends who are sitting here in the office, we're going to give you a little tour of our space. All right, so we are, of course, ADA friendly. Here's a long view, and there's our, in the background, you can see our treasurer and our, what I would call our office manager, Dick Dahl, and our treasurer, Jean Dowd. When we were looking at this space, Caitlin and Dick came here, and we don't, this bathroom here in the office specifically isn't ADA friendly, but it is much better than the previous bathroom. And there's a bathroom in the hallway next to the conference room that is meets Caitlin's and the ADA's requirements. So we're glad that we have that space. It's a bit smaller, of course, than the other, and it's still a little bit not disorganized, but just trying to figure out where all this stuff goes, because after 15 years of living in a space, you collect a lot of stuff. And so you can also see that we have Biden-Harris signs. We've got some 4x8s that are still unspoken for, if you want to buy one for $40. And we have some 2x4s that are still unspoken for, I believe. You could buy those for $10. We have our, a lot of good stuff, and a lot of awesome people have been doing a lot of good work here to get the office in working shape, and cleaning up and organizing and getting rid of stuff we don't really need anymore. And hopefully in November, we'll get rid of Donald Trump and Steve Drazkowski and a whole bunch of other things that need to go out with the old and unneeded and the trash we can dump. So here we are in our office, 165 Walnut. Thank you to the Winona State faculty member that I cannot remember who donated this Robert Kennedy print. As you can see, we have a good slew of signs. Somebody donated a Biden-Harris flag. We currently have all of our candidates' signs available, and I know Ralph's going to send some more. We even have some nonpartisan Justice Paul Thiessen signs. But this is what greets you. I'm gonna go step outside for a second so that you can get the full picture. It's a beautiful night in Winona. As you can see, we're just across the street from where the huge apartment fire happened 5 years ago, and the building has been repaired and it looks beautiful now. We're just down the street from Toppers, and we're right next to Speltz Auto. But here is what it looks like when you walk up to the DFL office. Come in, masks required, of course. Our lovely mascot, who's gone through many, many times and many county fairs. And this is what you get when you walk into the office. And maybe Dick will demonstrate his wonderful greeting.
Welcome to the Winona County DFL. What can I do for you?
Thanks, Dick. I need 100 Biden-Harris signs.
Terrific. We finally have them.
All right. So when you come here, you can obviously, there's a very true statement in our sign there. When you come, you can donate. Of course, we're not going to be, we always appreciate having the funds for the Biden-Harris sign so that we can get more. All the other candidate signs are free, and you can donate anything that you'd like. Of course, if you are donating, please remember to notate that if you're donating in cash over $20, we do need you to use an envelope. And we have a whole lot of wonderful people who have been staffing the office, no more so than Dick Dahl, who's on your screen right now. And he's managed to have shifts and to staff the office so that we're open Monday through Friday, noon to 6, and Saturday from 11 to 1. And so a lot of thanks goes out to Dick, and I forgot to bring, I have a special thank you gift for Dick, but I forgot to bring it. I'll have to give it to him and take a picture of it later. We have, it may have faded, but it's not ever going to fade. Our poster that actually was part of the victim of an office rock throwing back in 2008. You can still see the scars from the broken glass. Jean is sitting now in one of our chairs here in the back. She is a fantastic treasurer, and so please make her job a little bit easier by labeling any cash over $20. So we normally have our rent board, and of course we didn't have our brunch this year, and we want to thank everybody who has donated and will donate. My hair is a little over the course of the move. So many of you pitched in to donate various numbers, big, little, single dollars. People came in and wanted signs because they were so mad. We had at least 2 donors who were so angry at when the Trump store showed up that they donated a whole month's worth of rent. And so we so much appreciate that. If you can pitch in more, please do what you can. Come grab more signs, buy more signs, let us know. Really just thank you all for all that you do. And now I'm going to vamp so that I can get the Tina Smith video ready to go. And so bear with me. There's going to be probably some, here we go. Let's see what this does. And one more thing here. And here is Senator Tina Smith.
gonna go back and again. You'll hear it in a minute. Is- Is it? Dang it. Still no sound? Fuck.
If we win, we'll be able to make progress, getting this pandemic under control, building back our economy so that it works for everyone, investing in broadband and a clean energy future, supporting Minnesota farmers, healthcare as a fundamental human right, and working for racial and social justice. We DFLers don't take anything for granted. We remember Minnesota is the land of close elections. So we don't need to just win in November, we need to win big. So if you haven't signed up to volunteer, now's your time. We need you. Our virtual volunteer program is in full force, and we're connecting with voters by text and phone and Zoom and Slack, and we're making sure folks have a plan to vote. So please join our campaign at tinaforminnesota.com, and let's organize, organize, organize so that we win in November. Let's work like our very lives depended on it, because our democracy is on the ballot. Congratulations on your new office, and thank you for your commitment to accessibility and inclusion. And I'm proud to represent you in Washington.
All right. Well, I apologize for the sound missing from that video. I will replay that video after Caitlin says our good nights, just so people can hear the full thing if they want. But we're gonna switch up the program a little bit. We're gonna go to the next congressman from the 1st Congressional District of Minnesota, Mr. Dan Thean. Let's welcome him.
Thank you, Jacob. And hi, everyone. Good evening. Good to see other really great candidates, Jordan, Ralph, and Elise, if she's still on. Really great to be with you. Sorry that we're not there in person. Thank you to the Winona County DFL for all the support you've given us here, and congrats on the new office. It looks great. Looks a little closer to the river, which is nice too, which means closer to lots of stuff. Really grateful to be here with you guys, give you a little sense of how the campaign's going. But first and foremost, I want to make sure and shout out all of the Winona County DFLers who have kept up just an incredible spirit over the past months. In particular, Caitlin Nicholson, Jacob Griffin, Chris Fan. You guys have been awesome. Caitlin, I'm sad I can't see Sage. I imagine she's in bed at this point. So is Maeve, but hope to see her again soon. I want to make sure everyone knows Ben. If you haven't met Ben Borzakowski yet, he is awesome. He's right there in Winona and he's doing really good work. So please keep helping him to reach people over these next 30 some days. It's going to be critical for us. I wanted to share just a little bit. 2020 has been nothing but normal. And so, normally a candidate votes on election day itself, but we decided to switch things up a little bit. And I voted on the very first day of early voting. And with it, had a chance to have my voice be heard, which is humbling and powerful as it always is. I think in particular of 2008 when I voted from Baghdad, Iraq, while in the middle of a combat tour. And that's that humbling feeling of being able to have your voice be heard. And this time around, I voted for some excellent candidates here in North Mankato, but I want to share with you some other people I voted for in a different sense of things. Number one, I voted for my daughter, Maeve, in the sense that she was right there with us. Amy and I brought her along with. She tried to steal the pen at one point. It got a little dicey, but it worked out. But I voted for her and her future. The passing of Justice Ginsburg in particular has me reflecting on the many different fights that Justice Ginsburg fought in her lifetime. The last one including a fight for her life to the end. And one of those most important fights was for gender equality. And with it, I think very much that the world that Justice Ginsburg helped to create is immeasurably better and made Maeve's life and Sage's life immeasurably better on account of it. But I also voted for my daughter Maeve with the sense that it is my hope that with that vote, Maeve will never have to experience the same fights that Justice Ginsburg had. That Maeve, in a sense, in her generation, can pick up the torch and move it further towards the promise of equality that is in this country. So that's what I voted for. One. Second, I voted for this family in Rochester. A family in Rochester who I convened a group of parents with children with pre-existing conditions. This family in particular has a 12-year-old with a severe physical disability. And that's a tough to navigate in any world, especially in COVID. When their child first came home from the NICU, there was a $1 million bill waiting for them in the mailbox. But in COVID, life has been particularly challenging because they require 7-day-a-week in-home care for their child. About a month ago, that healthcare worker who always comes to their house came to their house, except they came to their house while they were sick. After leaving their house, that worker tested positive for COVID-19. And for any parent, that's a terrifying situation. It was for that family. They quarantined upstairs and downstairs, waiting for the days to pass, for every single day ticking past until, fortunately, COVID didn't pass on to them. But I voted for them, and I also voted for that healthcare worker because when they asked them, they were upset. They said, they went to the healthcare worker, you came to work sick? You knew the rules. Why did you come to work? And the healthcare worker responded, I always come to work when I'm sick. In other words, it wasn't a choice. They had to come to work. They could not miss a day of work in the middle of a pandemic. So I voted for them. And thirdly, I voted for a farmer not too far away from the Winona County DFL office, a farmer in Houston County, who is going through a Chapter 12 bankruptcy right now, who shared with me 2 months ago at this point how hard and awful that experience was, especially as a multi-generation farm that they are going through the worst possible situation. They shared with me just how hard they've been working, and they shared the idea that they did everything right. They said, I didn't change, the world around me did. And that sentiment I have heard expressed thousands of times in different forms, people who are working harder than ever and falling further behind because a Washington, D.C. and a representative in Jim Hagedorn has absolutely quit on them or never began to fight for them in the first place. That's who I voted for. And when I voted for them, I voted for so many more people because their stories are not stories, they're real lives. And unfortunately, they are not unique stories either. They are not unique experiences in 2020. That's who I voted for because that is who I want to represent when given the chance to do so. And we will. We have 30 some days. I feel really good about the state of things. Of all the things going on in 2020, The state of this campaign feels really strong. I feel the momentum, and I hope you guys can too. We have been creative in figuring out how to reach people, and we're doing so. And I think it's working. You know, I tell my field staff, I've told this to Ben, and I will share the same thing with you. I need your help all the way to the end, because it's not if someone chooses not to vote for me, I can live with that. What's hard to live with is the idea, what's hard to rectify is the idea that someone out there feels like their vote doesn't matter at all, and so they don't vote. That's the person that I want you thinking about. That's the person I want you chasing on the phones, on text. However we can reach them, that's who we got to reach in these next 33 or 32 days at this point, because that's the impact we can have, because everyone's voice has to be heard this election, as Senator Smith just finished saying. And I know there in Winona County, we can turn out, and we are going to turn out strongly. And I'm so looking forward to the time where we can hang out again and be together again. In the meantime, I am honored for the chance to be the DFL nominee, because that comes with it a humbling experience of the thought of the actual work it will take to represent Southern Minnesota and put people first. Thank you guys all so much. You see Amy hanging out in the background. We all give our love and wishes, and can't wait to see you guys again soon.
Dan, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Sage was actually very sad that she didn't get to see Maeve. She kept asking about her. So the girls are going to have to hang out at some point in time. She says, hi, Sage. Can you say hi to everybody? Yeah, Sage is definitely watching and joining us tonight.
Hi, Sage.
Sage is a big fan of Dan, for anyone who doesn't know. She definitely watched Dan's debate the other night and was very sad when her friend Dan was not on the screen. So Dan, you'll have to do more screen time for Sage.
Okay.
But thank you so much. It does make a difference. And it makes a difference to know that in just over 30 days, we are going to elect a member to Congress who I will be proud to have represent my daughter. That makes a huge difference to me, and it makes a huge difference to my family. So thank you, Dan, and thank you to everybody who supports it. Please, you guys, come out. Make sure you volunteer for Dan's campaign. Make sure you volunteer for all these great DFLS campaigns. But now I have the privilege of introducing a great personal friend of mine and someone I really admire. And for those of you who know me, after my car accident that left me in a wheelchair, somebody who really supported me and somebody who represents all of us here. Please help me welcome Senator Tammy Duckworth.
Hi, everyone. This is Senator Tammy Duckworth. I just want to congratulate you on opening your new office, and I'm especially excited to hear it's ADA accessible. At a time of such division and discord in our country, we need to show that the Democratic Party is a party of inclusion. That starts by making sure everyone is literally able to feel welcome in our offices, and that people can come in to volunteer, to canvass, to phone bank and make calls to voters, and to attend events once it is safe again to do so again. So I'm so glad that the Winona County Party has a new office where you can proudly fly your Pride and Black Lives Matter flags, where you can proudly display your support for Democratic candidates, and where your entrances are ADA accessible so that everyone can enter. There's so much at stake right now, and we're all at a real inflection point in this country. This election will determine whether we continue to make our society more inclusive and accessible for every American, or whether we will lose the progress we have made in the battle against the forces of discrimination. This election will determine whether we have a president who brings out the best of us instead of appealing to the worst. Whether we will have a president like Joe Biden who can keep us safe from a pandemic and who will stand up to foreign tyrants when they reportedly put bounties on our troops' heads. It will decide whether we have a president who respects military service instead of denigrating and disrespecting it. Whether we will have a president who will work to make healthcare more affordable and protect pre-existing condition instead of trying to strip them away in court while claiming the opposite in person. Whenever I think of the stakes of this election couldn't get higher, they do. 2020 has been a tough year, and it's had some devastating moments like of loss. We'll be mourning the loss of heroes like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and John Lewis for a very long time. But we have work to do. So it's time to roll up our sleeves, get fired up, and be ready to do everything we can to defend our rights and elect Democrats up and down the ballot this November 3rd. So please join me in doing everything you can to make sure your family, your friends, your neighbors, and everyone in your community has a plan to vote. Make sure they know how to vote early, whether it is by mail or safely in person. because we need to send Joe Biden to the White House. We need to re-elect my friend Tina Smith, keep the House blue, and elect Democrats up and down the ballot. Thank you for all that you do. Keep up the hard work. It's appreciated. And I hope you put this brand new great office to good use for many more years to come. Congratulations.
All right, we're having a little more technical difficulties on my end. Just need to, we're gonna vamp real quick. Sorry. Dang it. So I'm going to invite someone directly into the meeting if I can, if I remember how to do that. So thank you everyone for joining us. Maybe Caitlin, if you could talk for a second about what the donations get us. Are you still there?
I am still here, you guys.
Sweet.
As we wait for Secretary Steve Simon is in the middle of trying to join us, you guys. And he's going to talk to us about why it's important to get out and vote and early voting. But in the meantime, I want to talk to you guys about the office and the donations and what your donations really mean to us. The cost of our office is $500 a month plus utilities. This may not seem like much to a lot of people, but it does make a difference. And to have an accessible location is huge for us. For those of you who have been in the old office, you know that the bathroom was up a couple steps. Getting in the door in a wheelchair was not easy. This new office makes all of that so easy, and it's in a great location right downtown with parking, both in the Midtown parking lot and in Merchants parking lot, both only a half a block away. So when you donate, you help us keep those doors open. You help us be a presence in the community, and you help us make a difference to show that we will not be silenced. We will not go quietly, and we will not let people like Donald Trump continue to run this country. We will get people like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris elected. We will get Dan Keene elected, but that means you need to turn out to vote, and you need to help us by donating. You can find our Act Blue on our Facebook account in all the emails we send you, or if you just go to Act Blue, you can look up Winona County Democratic Farmer Labor Party and you will find us. Any amount of money helps us. If you can spare $1, $5, $100, it all makes a difference for keeping this office open. And keeping this office open reminds people that doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your color of your skin, your physical abilities, your mental abilities, your sexual orientation. We are here to represent everyone. Those of you who personally know me may have heard this story before, but when I was in the hospital, one of the first things once I came to after my accident, I said was I was proud to be part of a party that represented all people, that wanted to be here to represent us and wanted to make sure that I, in my wheelchair, still had a place in the party. So let's show this community that we represent everyone by having a place for them. So please donate. Please go to our Act Blue and donate what you can. If you can donate a whole month for $500, great. If you can donate that $1 to just help us a little longer, great. Any money beyond what we need to keep the office open, we donate to candidates. We buy yard signs. We buy literature. We do all of those things to keep things going. So please, your donations definitely make a difference. All right, Jacob, has Secretary Simon joined us yet? You guys, it sounds like we're still waiting for him to join us. So one of the other things I want to talk to you guys about is why this election is so important to me. You guys have heard me mention multiple times my accident to being in a wheelchair, but it's beyond that. It's also my daughter. It's my family. It's the fact that politics is personal. When we talk about this election making a difference in people's lives, we really do mean it. If President Trump gets reelected, it is a direct hit on my life, but not just me. I have to raise my daughter in a country that elects someone like Donald Trump, and I don't want that. So please make sure you vote. I want to take my daughter to DC someday and have her meet a member of Congress that I'm proud of, like Dan Feehan. So let's make sure we get him over the finish line. Let's make sure we get him elected this time, because I do not want to have to tell my daughter about her representative, Jim Hagedorn. I want to tell her about her representative, Dan Feehan. I want to tell my daughter about people like Sarah Kruger getting elected to Senate and Ralph Kaler. So let's make sure we turn out and get these people elected. Let's make sure we turn out and get people like Jordan and Elise and Jean reelected. These people make a difference. These people make sure that everyone's voice matters and not just some voices. It doesn't matter if you're red or blue, your voice will matter to these people. So let's please get them elected. So donate if you can, but if nothing else, vote. You can vote early by absentee, or you can go in even to our Winona County office building. It's on 3rd Street, and vote early in person. And if you can't do any of that, please make sure you vote on election day on November 3rd. Wear your mask and safely socially distance, but that's another great option. Jacob, where are we at with Secretary Smith, Steve Simon?
I don't know why it didn't require a password for anyone else. So I don't know why it's requiring a password for Steve.
Hey, Dan, while we are waiting for Secretary Simon to get on, if you are still on, I'd love for you to say a few more words about why voting early is really important and how they could help your campaign with volunteering. You may have walked away from your computer though. Any candidate that is still on while we're waiting for Secretary Simon to join us who would like to jump on and talk about early voting or how to volunteer for their campaign, I'd greatly appreciate it.
I'm here for you, Caitlin. I can step in a little bit.
Thank you, Ralph. I greatly appreciate that.
My other option was to be out. We're hoping, well, we don't have beans, but harvest is starting. So there's always tractors to run at night too. But no, it's, you know, I think with any of the campaigns, there's phone banking, you know, lit dropping, anything. But if you hit the websites with any of us, you can find where to call. With ours, it's Kaler4mmsenate.com. You can phone bank from the luxury and comfort of your own home. It's very easy to do. The numbers pop up on the screen. It's preset. You get the codes to log in. And once you get the first call made, then it's pretty simple. It's always the fear of getting through the first one and understanding the rules. So it's pretty much the same for all of them. You can do texting and it doesn't show your phone number. You get a different number, so your number doesn't get listed as someone that's texting everyone. But you know, who's ever close to you, reach out to them. We also ask people, reach out to your own network. If you send a message to friends and family and say, hey, I found this candidate I'm supporting for Senate, and you know, in our area, he's a farmer and a solar developer, I think you'll like him. If you send that to 30 people, they will all open it. If it comes from a political campaign, people are suffering some political burnout, probably only half of them will look. So there's all sorts of options, but as I said earlier, the way we're going to win this is getting to a new set of voters, getting to the people that we haven't talked to before. And when they contrast and compare the candidates and the ones we have in Southeast Minnesota, we will get the majority of the votes. If they're open and honest, we will win. So that's my pitch and my spiel to anybody. So we're looking forward to your help and support.
I was going to hop back on and talk about early voting if you'd like. My ring light was off, which was the problem of getting everything back on. I was just in this black pit earlier. So if you want someone to talk about that, I can do it for you.
Elise, I would love to have you talk about early voting, please.
Yes, no problem. So early voting, super early, super easy. I've already voted. I requested my absentee ballot in the summer because I requested the two at the same time for the primary and the general election. Your ballot can be requested up until November 3rd, I believe. I have information up here. I'm just trying to check and make sure. You can go to mnvotes.org to find all the correct information. You can also track your ballot. It only needs a little bit of information like your address, driver's license, or the last four of your social security number. I just checked mine recently. Mine was delivered, it was received, and it will be counted. So it's really convenient. It's like tracking a package. You can see if your ballot will be officially counted. You can vote early, and you can find also where to vote early through the Secretary of State's website, and it's usually done by county. You can also find sample ballots too. I just did that today as well, and I shared it to my campaign Facebook page. So there's a ton of resources if you go to mnvotes.org. And again, if you don't know yet who to vote for or who is even on your ballot, you can find sample ballots online. You can see all of your representatives and exactly how your ballot will be printed, both sides. So you can see both front and back, top to bottom, every type of candidate that will be on that ballot. So you can really look in to the people you may be voting for and do a lot of research too. So if you go to mnvotes.org, there's a ton of information there, both for early voting, but also in-person voting on the election day, like your sample ballots, for example.
Thank you so much, Elise, for that information. We really do appreciate it. And like she said, like I've said over and over again, go out, vote early. Don't overwhelm us on election. Don't overwhelm the polls on election day by making people stand in line. So if you're able to vote early, please do so. Jacob, where are we at with Secretary Simon?
Something I'm working on a workaround. I don't know why this is. I think we're just gonna have to maybe give up on trying to get Steve on. I don't know why this is happening. I feel terrible because I'm wasting his time and I'm wasting your time, and I don't know why Zoom isn't wanting to let him into our meeting. So I'm sure Steve, if he was here, would say, make sure, you know, to go to mnvotes.org. And I apologize publicly to Secretary Simon, and actually, here, I have an idea.
And having a technical glitch occurs pretty regular. It's not unique to this meeting, Jacob. So everyone hopes to have a perfect meeting, but we've all been on some where we've had some issues and it never makes sense when, where, or why, but they do occur. It keeps us all humble that way.
I have an idea. Maybe it'll work.
All right, while we give Jacob one more moment to have
There we
that
go.
work.
Okay.
All right, wonderful. So let's welcome Secretary Simon.
It's gonna be kind of a thing, but here we go. Let's see if this works. Go ahead, Steve. Can you see that?
Can I see, what am I looking at?
You're looking at me and the Zoom on my computer. I'm actually asking if the Zoom participants can see you. So here we go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Can you see me okay?
Oh, God.
I know this is odd.
Yeah, I think we can see you.
Yep,
Here we go.
We can see and hear him.
Okay, I'll do my best. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, I don't know what the deal is. We've been having some technical glitches here. Sorry to join you late, but thanks for coming together for this great event. We got a job to do. I don't need to tell you. We got 32 days. And this is, as I'm sure others have said, the most consequential election, perhaps in a century, perhaps longer. And we owe it to the stakes that are so high to really work our guts out for the next 32 days. I know you're going to do that. I'm going to do that in my own way, certainly on the official side. We just announced today that we have about 1.2 million Minnesotans that have already made the decision to vote from home this year, which is an extraordinary and remarkable milestone. To put that in perspective, last presidential election, we didn't even have 300,000 that voted that way, and we're already at 1.2 million with a month to go. That says something, not just about a particular method of voting. It says that people are fired up. They really, really, really want to make their voices heard and their choices known. And I think we're going to see that in 32 days. Let me just put in a plug for one particular thing. I need your help on something. I'm asking for a favor. And everyone who's on this call or on this meeting is an opinion leader and a thought leader. You're all opinion leaders or thought leaders in your own circle. It could be a family circle, a work circle, a social circle, a neighborhood circle. You're plugged in, you're invested, and you're involved and active. And so people are going to look to you and listen to you. I have to tell you, I don't mean to be alarmist. I want to be, though, frank and clear. I worry that in this country and in this state, the period of days and maybe a couple weeks after the general election, after November 3rd, could be a real difficult and challenging time. Because the election in Minnesota is going to look a little bit different. Election night is going to feel a little bit different. As you may know, this year, Minnesotans can postmark their ballots as late as November 3rd, as long as they get in on November 10th. That means by definition, we're not going to have all the results in for 1 week. Now, two things about that. And I hope, and this is where the favor comes in, I hope you'll help spread the word in your circles and in your communities about this. Because what we don't want in this country and what we don't want in the state is to create fertile ground after the election for disinformation, misinformation, conspiracy theories, and outright lies. So when you see, not if, when you see that 100% of the votes are not in on election night, because by definition they won't be in for a week, when you see that, just know and tell others that that is literally by design. Literally by design. It's not someone screwing up. It's not someone failing to plan. It's not someone falling asleep at the switch. To the contrary, it's the product of very thoughtful planning, and it is literally by design of the legislature, which passed legislation this year to extend the period for counting, and by design of the courts, which have issued several rulings that have altered and changed some of the rules that we're used to. But the point is, this is the plan. This isn't a deviation or a detour. This is the plan. And I think that's going to be important because, let's face it, we've seen it already. Laying the groundwork for a narrative that unconventional election night or unconventional period after election day means that someone is stealing or someone is rigging or someone is concealing. And none of that will be true. None of it will be true. I know you know that, but I think it's really important in the circles that we travel in to spread that information so people know that this is the plan. There is no plot here. There is no scheme. There is no conspiracy. The other thing that I think it's important to know for all of you who care so much about the outcomes is that just because we don't have 100% of the vote in for a week doesn't mean that we're all going to be sitting around wondering who won every office. That's not the case. I think in most cases, and I predict in most cases, we will know the winners. We will know the outcomes either on election night or shortly after election night. And that's because we will be able to supply information not only on the votes that have been cast and come in so far, but on outstanding numbers of absentee ballots. So, for example, let's say you're following a particular legislative race. And on election night, let's say that we can tell you that candidate A is ahead of candidate B by 1,000 votes, right? 1,000 votes. All the ballots counted, either in person, absentee, doesn't matter, 1,000 votes. And let's say we can also tell you that night or shortly thereafter that there are 700 outstanding absentee ballots in that House district. Well, at that point, you can call that race, right? You know that candidate A is ahead by 1,000. And you know that she's won as a matter of just pure math. If all the 700 outstanding absentees come in for her opponent, she can't possibly lose, even if her opponent gets all of them. Now, we won't know for a week by how much she won. Did she win by a lot or a little? That we will have to wait for. But we're going to know in the vast majority of cases who won those elections. And I just want to calm and soothe people about that. Either way, I have to be candid with you. I fear for this country and for this state that period immediately after Election Day will be fertile ground for, like I said, misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theories, which is why in our office, it's not a 30-day countdown or 32-day countdown. In our office, it's really a 39-day countdown. Our work will not truly be done until at least after a week at the end of Election Day, that 39-day period, when all the votes are cast and all the votes are counted. There's still work to do after that, of course, but that's when we can exhale a little bit. So I need your help, all of you as thought leaders and opinion leaders, to make sure as a state and as a nation that we're not torn apart by that kind of disinformation. I know that sounds gloomy, and I know that sounds heavy and serious, but actually I'm an optimist. I really, really, truly am. I see this as glass half full. I think we're not only going to get through this, I think we're going to shine as we always do. Minnesota is #1 in the country in voter turnout. We have been for 2 elections in a row. We're going for the hat trick. We're going for the three-peat. I think we can do it. But whether we do it or not, I think we're going to come through and pass the test with flying colors. Minnesotans will always find a way to vote, and this year is no different. So thank you for having me. Thanks for the great work that you're doing. And thanks for this get together tonight.
And I'm very sorry, Steve, about, I don't know why Zoom wasn't letting you in.
Don't worry. That's okay.
But you're here and we're glad to hear from you. So thank you so much for joining us. Keep up the good work. 39 days for you, and we'll see. But thanks for all the work you do. And we look forward to hopefully having you run again in 2 years. So have a good night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Thanks, Jacob.
All right. I'm going to kick it back to Caitlin one last time. I hope everyone could hear the audio on that. Okay. Thanks. And remember, I'll just put a reminder after before we get Caitlin to sign us off. I will play that Tina Smith video one more time on this Zoom. And I think if we can get permission from both Senator Duckworth and Senator Smith, we'll probably upload those videos to our YouTube channel, which will be our first 2 uploads. So kicking it back to Chair Caitlin for one last rah-rah.
Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to all of the candidates that joined us. Secretary Simon, thank you so much for that, all that great information about what election night and the week after is going to look like for us. I want to make one more pitch of the importance of really donating. Go to our website, check any of the emails the Winona County DFL has sent you, go to our Facebook page and click on that Act Blue link and donate to help us keep the office open. If you don't want to donate online, send a check to 165 Walnut Street or email any of us at the Winona County DFL and we'll help you figure out how to get your donation to us. Also, all of the candidates you have heard from tonight could use a donation. So think about that too, as you think about if you can afford anything. $1, $5, $10, all of it makes a difference in making sure that we can get these messages out there to voters to make sure that we get our candidates over the finish line. Thank you all for your time tonight, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful night. Good night, and enjoy the next 32 days, and please make sure to vote.
Hi, everyone. I'm Senator Tina Smith, and I wish that we could all be together, but I'm so glad to have the chance to take part in this virtual open house to celebrate your new ADA accessible DFL office in Winona County. DFLers, you put so much work into this, so I want to thank you for your commitment to making sure these spaces are accessible to all Minnesotans. You know how important it is to create spaces like this that work for everyone, because everyone deserves a voice in our government. And these spaces give more people the opportunity to show up and use your voice. I'm so happy to be here with you, and I can't wait for the day that we can be together again in person. And until then, we'll continue to organize via Zoom. So there is so much at stake in this election. We're in the middle of a global pandemic that is shaking the foundations of our health and economic well-being. We've just lost Justice Ginsburg, who was our strongest voice on the Supreme Court for fairness and justice. And it all feels really personal. It's our health, our children's schools, our jobs, our future. And the question is, right now, are we going to follow the path of division and fear and chaos laid out by Donald Trump and the Republicans, or will we come together and lift up the best of who we are? So yes, there is so much at stake, and we have a lot of work to do. Now, you may feel worried about this election, and I get that, but remember, worry is not a strategy. Organizing is a strategy. Voting is a strategy. So we need you to keep on talking and connecting with your neighbors and friends and family to make sure that they have a plan to vote. They can vote early by mail, they can vote early in person, or voting on Election Day. Here in Winona, we need to elect Dan Feehan to Congress. Dan is a progressive and compassionate leader who will have a strong voice for us here in Minnesota and in Washington. We need to elect all our local DFL candidates in CD1 so that we can keep the state house and win back the state senate. We need to put Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who are strong, decent, capable leaders, in the White House. And I need your help to win this most important Senate seat. You know that the path to flipping the United States Senate blue goes right through Minnesota. And I want you to know that I am hell-bent to keep this Senate seat, once held by Paul Wellstone. Paul, who taught us that politics is all about improving people's lives. And when we win, we'll be able to make progress, getting this pandemic under control, building back our economy so that it works for everyone, investing in broadband and a clean energy future, supporting Minnesota farmers, healthcare as a fundamental human right, and working for racial and social justice. We DFLers don't take anything for granted. We remember Minnesota is the land of close elections. So we don't need to just win in November, we need to win big. So if you haven't signed up to volunteer, now's your time. We need you. Our virtual volunteer program is in full force, and we're connecting with voters by text and phone and Zoom and Slack, and we're making sure folks have a plan to vote. So please join our campaign at tinaforminnesota.com, and let's organize, organize, organize so that we win in November. Let's work like our very lives depended on it, because our democracy is on the ballot. Congratulations on your new office, and thank you for your commitment to accessibility and inclusion. And I'm proud to represent you in Washington.